Hello and welcome to this special interview as part of Automotive Management's EV Retailing Week. I'm joined today by Lucy Tugby, Marketing Directors at Motors Kazoo. We're going to talk a little bit about some data insights on EV adoption, buyer behaviour and used EV retail trends in the UK. Thanks for joining us, Lucy.
Thanks very much.
Anyways, right, let's kick straight into things then. So I know that Motors does lots of consumer research, and the latest consumer insight panel, which has polled the views of 2,000 car buyers. Just wanted to ask you about some insight into what that's telling us about buyers and their intention to consider an EV as their next car.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess the headline is EVs and hybrids are now a more popular choice than petrol and diesel for buyers considering that next car purchase. So in our survey, we found that 55% of buyers say their next car will be either a hybrid or EV. And that's versus 45% who will still choose ICE. And this is obviously in decline as well. So interest in hybrids remains really strong. About a third of buyers say they'll buy a hybrid, but nearly a quarter, so that's 24% of car buyers are now expecting their next car to be an EV. And that this is actually the highest intent we've ever recorded in our survey. And it's also been on the rise since January. We also did another survey, it was at 21% then. So you can see that very encouraging trend is on the up. But car buyers still feel more comfortable buying brand new EVs than used. So there's still a gap there. 53% say they'll buy a new EV. When comparing this to hybrids, it's still only was at 31%. So really there is a gap there, and only 25% of buyers said they'll buy a used EV compared to 45% for hybrid. So you can see that there is a gap. EVs are still need to catch up to hybrids, and closing that gap really relies on buyers getting more comfortable with used EVs. Obviously, as a marketplace, we play a really important role here as alongside dealers, helping buyers understand that purchase better, breaking down those barriers. And then it's really down to dealers to win over the buyers in the showroom with support that gives them that confidence, such as warranties and battery health checks.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Lucy. Okay, well, that's super interesting that it's kind of moving in that direction. I wanted to ask as well about, there's lots of things kind of outside of dealers' control, and I suppose one of them is situations going on in the world right now. But I suppose, is there been anything in the research that tells us about the impact of kind of rising petrol and diesel prices and whether that's impacting EV consideration as well?
Absolutely, yeah. I think what we're seeing is in the past, hybrids would have been that natural stepping stone to EV, but this is just no longer the case. Majority of EV buyers are transitioning from ICE straight into EV. They're sort of doing that leapfrog now. And our research shows that 62% switched directly from ICE to an EV. 25% owned a hybrid before switching to an EV, so considerably more switching from ICE. And for 13%, EV was their very first car. I've actually done exactly this. I've made that switch to EV recently because at that midpoint just didn't make so much sense. And so far, I'm loving it. And with buyers seeing more and more EVs on our roads, obviously the economic factors at the moment, seeing those friends and family, hearing friends and family talking about EVs, really having to sort of weigh all of that up with what is going on around them. It makes sense that we're seeing that leapfrog straight from into EV rather than via hybrid now.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Lucy. Okay, so there's a little bit more research and data that you kind of crunch at Motors and Kazoo as well. I know you do a market view analysis of trends that you see in the used car retailing sector. Wonder whether you could pull out some sort of notable trends on the latest one from stocking or selling or pricing of used EVs over sort of March and Q1, if you can pull some of those out for us, please.
Absolutely, yeah. So our March data, and I've also had a look at our April data. The month obviously isn't quite closed yet, but had a bit of a sneak peek of that. And what we're seeing is dealer inventory mix by fuel type continues to evolve considerably. Petrol obviously still leads the way. It accounts for around 50% of the stock on Kazoo. This is followed by diesel at 30% of the stock. But obviously both of these are in decline, both month on month and year on year. Hybrid volumes are still really strong. They're around 11 to 12%. But in March, actually, EV stock volumes grew to 10% of all vehicles stocked by dealers, which was a new high. It's the highest recorded. and collectively EVs and hybrids in March accounted for 1 in 5 vehicles stocked on Cazoo. However, interestingly, in April, we're now seeing some changes. So EV stock volumes in April have decreased, likely following that surge in consumer demand that we've seen in March, and prices also have been impacted. So EV prices reached their lowest levels ever in March, but in April we saw the opposite. Average prices have started to increase, up about 5% month on month to 23,313 average. And this turnaround in trends is likely due to the increased demand as a result of the rising petrol and diesel prices, and then this demand impacting obviously supply. But despite this increase, in April, we know that year on year EVs are still coming down in price and are actually cheaper than hybrids now. They're becoming more of an affordable and realistic consideration for more buyers. Plus, we're seeing more choice of brands now coming onto the site from new entrants such as Chery and JQ. Those are filtering through, so they're driving choice and attractive pricing as well. So, ultimately, it's down to buyers to decide which car is right for them, and obviously with dealers and ourselves to support them and help them navigate that decision.
Great, thanks, Lucy. Okay, that's given us some really good insights from all the data and kind of consumer research that you've got and the used car retail insight that you've got as well. So I appreciate you doing that. Thank you. And thanks for everyone for watching. Please keep your eyes peeled for more content on AM's website and social channels for more features, guides and videos as part of EV Retailing Week.